So that's about one. Ooh, okay. I'm trying to. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the proper distance back from this camera, and I'm using my feet as measuring sticks or whatever. Hold on just a second. Okay, there we go. So that's about right, I think. The day my relationship slash marriage, if you can call it that, the day that it ended was shocking. It was, I mean, it was devastating. I just couldn't believe my ears when my ex said, that he wanted out and that it was over, basically. And he fed me this bullshit that, it ended sort of organically. It's just this natural progression of things, right? And you grow out of love. I no longer love you, kind of thing. And he I, when all of this went down, naturally, when you hear this and it's just out of the blue, um, it's a shock to your system. It certainly was to mine, because I was certain. Let me start that over again. The day my relationship ended slash marriage. Let me start over again. The day my relationship slash marriage, if you can call it that, ended. The day it ended was the day my relationship slash marriage, if you can call it that, ended. It was shocking, to say the very least. I mean, I had no earthly idea that that was getting ready to happen to me. There was some other stuff going on at the time for about a week, and so I'll get into that in a little bit. But I was shocked, and of course, naturally, the very first thing that I asked was, is there someone else? To which my ex responded, "Oh no, oh no, no." In fact, his exact words were, "This has nothing to do with someone else." Or no, excuse me, I'm sorry. "This has nothing to do with anyone else." No, scratch that. To which he replied, "This has nothing to do with another person." And he wasn't he wasn't lying, kind of, sort of. A little white lie or something. I don't know what the hell you call it. But so he was right. It didn't have to do with another person. It had to do with multiple other persons, right? Of course, I didn't know any of this. I was the last to know, just like you probably were. But the things that I found out subsequent to all of that, it just threw me. I look, when when he said that it's over and done. I mean, you could have just blown my ass over with a feather, right? And but then when I found out all of the other things, and there was there was so much. There was just so much that I uncovered. Yeah. So anyway, let me go on. What the purpose of this video is to explain to you what happened, at least certainly from my perspective, and give you a timeline, a chronology of how we met, and then how it ended. So I met my ex on. I think he said to me one time that we met on Yahoo Personals. I thought it was one of the other ones. I can't even remember the name of it. But anyway, so our first date was September 4th of 2008. And he was at that point tying up the loose ends with his ex at the time of 17 years. In retrospect, I'm not sure how much of it all was a lie. I mean, I don't know, because they were selling their house at the time. I don't know if he sold the house, or if he was selling the house as a result of meeting me, or if they had already been selling the house. I don't know. I don't remember the exact storyline that I was fed. Um, so I can't really I can't really figure that part out. And sadly, his ex is now dead. Um, but anyway, they were together for 17 years, and according to my ex, his ex at the time, and this was part and parcel of why they broke up, that his ex had various drug problems. He was doing methadone, and a methadone recipient. He had apparently at some point during the relationship written bad prescriptions and all. And I mean, I can't imagine why you would lie about that. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. The ex had difficulty finding jobs and all that, which I'm sure after you do all of that. Um, like I said, they were selling their house at the time. Uh, One day he took me to the house. I don't know, we were driving somewhere, and he was like, well, let's run over, and he had to get something out of the house. Well, that should have been the first, at least the first red flag for me. And it kind of was. I mean, I stored it right back here, right? But when we got over to the house, he wanted me to go in, and I said, absolutely not. No, 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 because I had been through that with an ex prior, and it just didn't feel right. I can still remember my ex from 2002. I can still remember his ex sitting at the end of the dining room table. It was an oblong glass and brass, during the Southwestern craze, right? And he was sitting at the end of the table on the right-hand side, uh, and watching us get some stuff out of the house, and it just never felt right to me. It's like, well, God, why would you bring me here? And but I was young and stupid, so I didn't I didn't say no, I guess, and I wish that I had, because I felt so bad about that for the whole time. It didn't feel like the right thing to do. Now, according to my ex at the time, and in my defense, according to him, they had been broken up for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, whatever it had been, and they were living together as sort of a convenience kind of thing. Um, but anyway, so then my most recent ex, my ex-husband, uh, tried to bring me to their house, or bring me inside the house. And I told him, no, I'm not going to do that. Do you know if he's in the house? Well, I don't know, it doesn't matter, or whatever he said. It was not any big thing to him. It was to me, though. So I didn't go in. And then he went in the house and found out, that the ex was not there. And so I did go in at that point, and I said, we got to get the hell out of here, because I don't want. It's just, I don't think it's the right thing to do. I just don't. I never have, and I would never do it again. Um, anyway, I kind of got off track there. So I've got notes here. Uh, about 5 years after we were together, my ex-husband and I, about 5 years after, his ex died. It was, I don't know, there was some kind of I don't know if it was a drug overdose or if he had just been, because he was, at least according to my ex, I don't know for sure. Um, at least according to him, that there was the drug thing and all. And, I don't know whether his body just gave out or what the deal was. But anyway, he died. And one of the things that I noticed immediately was there was not a thimbleful of emotion or concern. Nothing. I mean, you have been with this person for 17 years. Now, I get that people grow apart and you're in relationships and after a while it's doesn't hold the same whatever. But I don't know. If you die, if the person dies, I would think that you would be a little concerned, a little upset about that. I mean, that person was a part of your life. Um, and I mean, for instance, my ex from 2002, his name was Ricky. He died recently, sadly, of stage 4 lung cancer, and it was upsetting to me. And we had a fairly bad breakup and all, and I didn't speak to him for 15 years. But he died of lung cancer, and prior to that, we were on the phone one day, and we were talking about that, and and I started crying, um, because we had smoothed things over. We still had we still had some points there that we didn't agree, we didn't see eye to eye on, but that's okay. But we mended things, and I'm glad that we did. I'm glad we did before he died. But anyway, um, my point in mentioning that is that in spite of all the time that had gone by, because again, we broke up in 2022. We met in 88. So it's been however long that's been, what, almost 40 years? And I was still emotional, and I still, because I genuinely loved him. I mean, we had an intense relationship, according to my mother. She coined it one day, many years ago. I don't know, probably within the last 5 years. And she said, y'all had a very intense relationship, and we did. Um, but but anyway, I was emotional about it. I mean, that was somebody who had a big impact in my life. Some bad, but some good, mostly good, I would say. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I would have to go uh, digging back through the cobwebs, but I think that most of the relationship was good, and I think he was a good, decent individual. But he said one time to me that we always seem to be at cross purposes. And I think that's about right. We really were. But anyway, so getting back to my ex-husband, um, another part of the problem with the relationship was intimacy issues, um, via his erectile dysfunction. Um, when we first got together in 2008 again, um, I remember one day I was living in a condo at the time, and he moved in, and I'm almost positive that he had gotten off of work, um, at this point, and we were up in the bedroom, and I mean, come on, when you first get into a relationship, we all know what, right? Boing boing boing, right? And so I was getting a little on the frisky side, and all, and I don't remember exactly what was said, but he implied that I was forcing myself on him, and hello again. Oh, you could have blown me over with a feather once again, and I thought, what? I've never had anybody repel my advances. So I think that was, I don't know. Again, I'm going to extend some grace here. Um, Maybe it had nothing to do with anything other than he was tired and he had just gotten off of work and all that. But again, you kind of, that's kind of the mode that you're in when you first get together. You're blowing off steam and all that, and so it left a lasting impression on me, again, because I've never had anybody say that to me before. Um, we had intimacy issues throughout. He was not the type, he would almost never initiate anything. And I mean, to a point that one day I think I said it probably a number of times, but I definitely said it one day. And, I, I'm, if you can't begin to initiate something, I'm not going to do it anymore, you know, because there just seemed like there was, I don't know, a disinterest or something. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm 63 years old, right? And I know I've been in relationships enough, and I have experienced that whole intimacy thing, I'm just old enough that I know that that intimacy is part and parcel of a relationship. I mean, that's one of the ways that you bond with somebody. And when there is a lack of that, or a total lack of it, which was in my case, I mean, it was almost, anyway, I'll get to that in a few minutes. Um, the His erectile dysfunction issue began probably 8 to 10 years prior to our breakup, somewhere 2014, 2016, somewhere in there. Um, he was taking some medication that, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I think I'm going to say it because it doesn't identify him at all. He was taking gabapentin for, issues that he had, and I want to say he was taking like three three pills a day. And it's my understanding, some of the research that I did online, that that can cause erectile dysfunction. But I think that he also had some issues stemming from childhood and all. And I was supportive of all of that, and his alleged erectile dysfunction. Well, I shouldn't say alleged. I'm only saying that out of sarcasm, really, because he absolutely did. Look, I mean, I've been around dicks long enough in my life, and of course, I've been sporting one for 63 years, so I kind of have a rough idea of how they work, um, and I know what makes them rise to the occasion. But I was supportive. I was very patient, much more patient than in retrospect I should have been. I just shouldn't have tolerated it as long as I did, but I did. Um, I would bring it up periodically out of desperation. It's like, Jesus, God, I mean, can you throw me a bone? Again, no pun intended. But can you give me a lifeline here? Something, anything? And it was basically nothing. I mean, I encouraged him to seek medical advice and all that, and he did virtually nothing to resolve that issue. I can tell you, in retrospect, I would never, ever, ever tolerate that again. Never. If you have a medical issue, that's one thing, but if you let me rephrase that. A medical issue is one thing, but there are, options that you can seek out, Viagra or Cialis or whatever else, injections into your penis. I mean, I don't know, a variety of things. And he was just never all that interested in doing that. Um, he did get a Viagra prescription at one point, and I think maybe he may have ordered Viagra twice, right? I think. He definitely got it once, and I mean, he only tried the damn stuff 2 or 3 times, right? I mean, if you're having an issue and your other half, the one that you accepted his hand in marriage, and the one that you allegedly love, right? uh, if you're having this issue and that person has indicated to you that there's a problem here in the intimacy department and that it needs to be resolved, well, I mean, I don't know, call me insane, but I would think that you would do something if you genuinely loved that person and you were in love with that, if you were attracted to that person and wanted to be with that person in that way. I would think that you would have a tendency to try to rectify that whole thing, right? um but he didn't. He just didn't. I mean, it was like he was too fucking bored or something to do anything. um it stayed in the cabinet for about 2 or 3 years, unused, much to my chagrin. And until one day I opened the cabinet for something, I don't know, to get a multivitamin or a glass or something, to get something to drink. And I said, the hell with it, and threw it out. They had expired, of course. I threw them out. He never even noticed. Or if he did, he didn't say anything. Um, I would periodically see things on YouTube. And I remember the last time that I had talked to him about the whole issue. Um, I saw some things on YouTube, some of the things that people recommended: a penis pump, a cock ring, all of that. I mentioned something about the two of us going together, because I'm thinking, we're a team here. We're partners, spouses, whatever. And so, maybe we could visit your doctor together, your urologist. And oh, no, he was, I don't know, he was sort of like, I don't know if he was angry about it, or he just didn't seem to be all that thrilled about that possibility. Um, but anyway, so he was no about that. Um, Actually, I think I've sort of covered this part. But again, I was supportive of the problem. I mean, hell, I extended my hand in marriage to him, even knowing that this was a problem. Um, so, I mean, how terrible could I have been, right? Um, when I brought these issues up, and look, I'm sure I don't suffer from that problem. Um, I'm sure that for guys that do, it's a little on the difficult side. So I mean, I don't know, how gingerly can you handle something, right? You if it needs to be discussed, and there needs to be some resolution to it all, well, then you have to kind of discuss that. If you don't discuss it, well, then how in the hell are you going to fix it, right? So, but he was always defensive. I don't care what I did, how kind, how supportive, how loving, none of those things. He was always defensive. Um, Sometimes, and I I don't know how many times I brought it up, but in the whole scheme of things, again, 8 to 10 years of a 15 and a half year marriage, right? Um, I brought it up. I don't know. I mean, hell, there was one time that nothing for several years, right? I mean, nothing, just absolutely nothing. And I brought it up in the whole scheme of things. I brought it up very few times. Most people would have been screaming and hollering. Most people would have said, "Sayonara, my good friend. I'm out of here." And in retrospect, that's exactly what I should have done. But um, the truth is, I think that part of that was, um, after going through the relationship breakup in 2002. That was very, very hard on me. I had that breakup. There was the infidelity part there too, although it was a bit different. Um, I I went through that, and it took a long time to get myself together. And when I say that, I don't mean I was, incapacitated or anything like that, but it just took a long time to heal from that. We were together 14 and a half years, in that relationship. But at any rate, so I think part of why I stayed, or should I say, didn't break up the relationship because of the erectile dysfunction. Part of it was because I'm a guy. I have a penis too, and I know enough about that whole predicament that guys can get that in their 20s. I mean, they can get it fairly early on. Thank God. Thank you. I don't suffer from that, so I'm good. But so I think that the reason that I didn't break up, uh, because of that, is because I didn't want to go through the upheaval of a relationship breakup again. That it's a fear. What can I say? I didn't. There was also the security thing, and I mean all of those things that when you get into a relationship, that they're. I mean, I just never thought that this was going to be what happened. Uh, I thought we were going. I mean, I thought we had a decent relationship. We seemed to communicate well and get along well with one another, and then all of a sudden, it's like fucking Jekyll and Hyde or something. Um, but I stayed, and I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend anybody do it. Now, I don't think that you should toss somebody aside because they have erectile dysfunction. No. But at the same time, they have to understand that there's another person in the equation, and you have to be considerate of that. I mean, you do. You just have to consider the other person. And if you don't want to be intimate, well, then you have to make some concessions. If you love that person and you care about them, you have to make some concessions. But anyway, um, sometimes I'm sure that especially when we had conversations, and like I said, he was always very defensive, and maybe rightfully so. I don't know, but there was at least once, probably twice, that I remember being on bended knee, when he was sitting on the sofa, and I would say, trying to appeal to him, I don't want us to break up as a result of this. I want you to understand that I have needs, and they're not being fulfilled on any level. And so I'm just asking you to understand that. But and in retrospect, I should never have done that. I was trying, I think, to to be supportive and understanding and all of those things. But I should have never done that. What I should have done is recognize that there's something, Houston, we got a problem. There's something wrong here. Because if somebody has this problem and you've come to them about this and explained to them, not screaming and hollering, not psychotic or anything, you've explained to them that this is a problem and they do absolutely, I mean, almost nothing to try to rectify. No, well then you need to move along because they're not interested in you. And I can see that as clear as the nose on my face. Very clear. Um, there were times that at least twice that I can recall, and I was like, well, what the fuck do I have to cheat? I mean, is that what I have to do? And that's not who I am. It's just not who I am. And I would never have done that anyway. But uh, out of exasperation, you get to that point, and I mean, I don't know. But anyway, we grew apart in a big way because of that lack of intimacy. I mean, I don't know. Some people, um, being intimate for some people, I mean, and much to my mother's chagrin, um, my stepdad told her before that, you know, that sex is just a bodily function. Well, I'm sure that no woman, especially, wants to hear that. But look, I don't want to hear that either. I want to. I mean, it is a bodily function. There's no question of that. It's just part of the thing, right? But uh, you know, I want uh, intimacy. There's so much more involved. There's a connection. There's that I don't know, that spiritual connection, the melding of the souls or something. I don't know what you call it. There's more to it than just sex. I mean, now there are times, I'm sure, that it's just, wild animal sex, right? I mean, nothing wrong with some of that. But there's also the other aspect, and I think that's probably how most people feel. There's a connection there. And if you don't have intimacy anymore, then there's really not much of a connection, and you begin to grow apart. Um, I think I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not. I think I did, maybe. Um, but initiating, I mean, he just rarely initiated anything. Um, that's a problem for me. I don't want. I want to feel like you're invested in this. I want to feel like, because if you've got somebody who never initiates anything with regard to that, I don't know. The other person feels like, I mean, are you not interested in me anymore? I mean, what is the problem? But uh, let's see, where am I? At one point, I mean, it had gotten so bad at one point that I told him that I was not going to initiate again, that I was done with that, and I was not going to initiate. And I think that it was that time, or not long after that, there had been, I think it had been about a 3 year, maybe 2 year period of time that there was just nothing, nothing at all. And I still stayed because, in my justification, and I extended my hand in marriage. If I hadn't said this earlier, I extended my hand in marriage to him, even knowing that he had this problem. And the day that we got married, it had been going on for 3 to 5 years at that point, for a grand total of 8 to 10. But I did tell him that I was not going to initiate him. You know, you're going to have to be proactive in this, or you know, whatever. Um, I am. I'm not somebody who is going to beg somebody. If you don't want me, then okay, it's all right with me. It's going to hurt, but you know, kick rocks. I mean, if you don't want to be with me for whatever reason, but he never indicated, oh no, 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 I'm attracted to you. I love you to pieces. Right? Okay. Um, there was, I mean, very, very little. There may have been some spontaneity in the beginning of the relationship, but there was just no spontaneity at all. I mean, I don't know. You know, why don't you? Would it kill you to come into the house and after work and put your arms around me and smooch me to death? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that difficult to me, but and I would certainly do the same. But whenever I did, I mean, he would repel me. I mean, I don't know, repulsed or something. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was not a normal situation. And if somebody is doing that to you, well, like I said, Houston, you got a problem. Because that is not normal. Um, it's not normal. Uh, Hold on a second. I gotta look at my notes and try to figure out what the what the hell I was talking about. Um, okay. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the way that I wrote this was a little odd, but we didn't. One of the things, and I actually didn't write this down here. One of the things that that I wanted to say. God, now it's what time is it? It is 4:59 a.m. and I'm up doing this video. I'm going to be calling out sick today, but um, oh God, now I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. I'll have to do a follow-up video and cover the things that I that I didn't say. Um, what I found out subsequent to that, and it was March 3rd of 2024, is when he sat me down and had this conversation with me, uh, and told me that, there was no one else, but it was just sort of, organic, and it was, the relationship had run its course and he was no longer in love with me and all that bullshit. And the things that I found out subsequent to that, woo, yeah, talk about blowing somebody over with a feather. I, I couldn't believe it. Um, I didn't know all of this at the time. The only thing that I knew about was the child bride. Well, actually, I didn't know that the day that he sat me down, but I found that out not long after that. I found out about the child bride and all of those things. But even prior to that, he had been let me see, January 4th through the 15th of 2024. He had been communicating with someone online. And the picture of this individual was that of an OnlyFans porn star. Um, he had been communicating with him, and he was planning on, or he was trying to get him to fly to our local area to fuck him. I mean, the other guy fucking my ex. But he was going to pay for part of the airfare and the hotel stay to come to our area. And some of the things that I uncovered, he was saying that, you know, we'll we'll have to. No, I'm sorry. Let me go back a little bit. That he that sometimes this is my ex saying about me. You know, sometimes my ex doesn't treat me so nice. He can be very selfish. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? I mean, the irony of the moment is completely wasted on my ex, right? I mean, you are out online doing anything and everything to hook up with somebody, and I'm the selfish one. Okay, got it. Um, but that whole thing, and said in there, you know, we'll have to meet during the day while my partner, not my husband, because we were married in our goddamn living room, but my partner is at work. But anyway, I probably don't need to get into all of that right at this point. But so the highlight is that all of the cheating part that I'm aware of, it's just what I'm aware of. I mean, he was very skilled in concealing everything. But you see, I'm the type of person that I will stop at virtually nothing to find out the truth. I absolutely hate a motherfucking liar. I can't stand a liar. If you don't want to be with somebody, there's no crime in that. No harm, no foul, as they say. If you don't want to be with somebody, then it's sad and all, but you're free to go. I mean, we're not tied into relationships. Although, in my view, when you're married, especially, you have a moral, ethical, and legal obligation to the other person. And even if you don't have that legal obligation, you still have the moral and ethical obligation to come to that person and tell them, I no longer want this. Before, by the way, you go and screw around. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent. Um, he also hooked up with a bisexual married man, and I mean, there are so many things wrong with that. So many. Um, two married people. Look. I have never in my lifetime, right hand to God, I have never in my life cheated on anyone. It's just not who I am. I don't want to do that. I have no desire to be with every fucking body in town, right? Okay? I don't. I just don't. I'm okay with the person that I'm with. That's all I want to be with. Um, but a bisexual married man, I, I, I think if I looked at the timestamps, I could probably figure out approximately when they were, doing the stinky. But yeah, and then going to come home and look me in my face and give me a smooch on the cheek and tell me that he loves me. Okay. I not getting a very clear picture on that, right? And then the cheating concluded with the one that I call the child bride. I mean, I don't know. The it's a someone who is 29 years his junior, um, with autism. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. There are some other things about that individual as well, but you know, criminal record. But at any rate, prior to all of this, there was the person that I'll call the ghostwriter. This started in 2022. That was sort of the beginning of the end, I think, um, of the relationship. And it was a new employee. I mean, see how quick that is? Just about like that. They became bosom buddies and best friends for life, right? In 30 seconds or less. Um, this guy was riding back and forth to work with my ex. I mean, at first I didn't think much about it. And this person was in their, I think, mid 40s. And I didn't think much about it at the time. But then it was, there was something not quite right. You know, we all know, you know. I mean, if you have somebody who's been cheating on you, you know. You know. After a while, you know that there's something not quite right. This individual, according to my ex, had some prescription drug issue. He had car and financial issues, marital issues, um, and all of that. And, you know, that whole thing, that whole situation, it got very close, very fast. What did I used to say? Too much, too fast, and I don't know, but too close, too fast. Just, I mean, so fast. And my ex was all up in this guy's um, family and marriage and all that. I mean, I remember there was one time, and look, maybe it only had to do with just trying to be a nice guy. But I think that there was, not I think, I know that there was more to it than that. Um, this person allegedly didn't have their lawnmower broke down or something. I don't know whether that was true or if it was bullshit. Is it live or is it Memorex? I don't know. Um, but so he packed the riding lawnmower up and put it on the trailer and took it down to this individual's house and cut the grass. I don't know. He did it 2 or 3 times, I think. Again, I don't have a problem with someone being charitable and neighborly and all of that. But there was much more to it. Everything was just way too close. And, so anyway, those are the things initially that I have on my notes. I'm sure that I will come to or come up with some additional things. I hope that I haven't rattled on too much for you, but they're the things, at least some of the things that led up to it. Now, I'm not going to get into, oh well, he didn't cook dinner enough or clean the house enough. I mean, I don't know. They're all kind of trivial things in my view. I would be the first to admit that my ex did all the cooking, or the vast majority of it. Why did he do that? Well, because he liked to cook. He was someone who, and when we first got together, he told me that when he was younger, he wanted to be a chef. Okay, well, perfect. Woohoo! It's a win-win situation. And so he was much better at that than I was. So, if you want to cook, knock yourself out. But keeping in mind, I'm not the kind of person who has to have somebody fix me a 4-course meal, and you don't have to fix me a damn thing. In the past almost 2.5 years now that we've been apart, I don't cook all of that. I mean, I'll cook a hamburger or a steak, or Make a salad, whatever. I don't do all that. I have a fairly simplistic palate, and so I don't need that. But anyway, I don't know. Uh, there were other things, I'm sure, and again, I'll have to sit down and pick my brains. I hope that I kind of stayed on track and gave you the chronology, the timeline of the breakup. Those are the things that that at least contributed to the breakup. I don't think that. I think that, and as much as I hate to say this, as much as I hate to admit it, because it hurts me in the process, I really don't think that, in retrospect, I don't think that he loved me the day that I extended my hand in marriage to him. I really don't. I wish that I could think differently. But at that point, that day, he had been withholding intimacy from me for 3 to 5 years. So, and like I said earlier, for a grand total of 8 to 10. Not entirely, but all damn near entirely for that period of time. So, I don't know. If you love someone or you're in love with someone and you're attracted to them still, then, I mean, to me, I want to be intimate. And certainly younger, 15 years ago, I wanted to be intimate every damn day. Ha ha, woohoo. But, that was, we were very mismatched when it came to libido. I mean, my ex had the absolute worst libido of anybody I've ever encountered, anyone. I've never seen anything quite like it. So I don't know. And here's another thing too. Um, I have genital herpes, HSV2, and I want to mention this because uh, part of the whole dating thing. There was this individual that I had been in contact with. He hit me up on one of the dating sites, and this was after, just so we're clear, after my ex, probably 6 to 8 months afterwards. This individual contacted me, and we started talking. And I think he said that he was at one point in his life he was a chaplain. I don't know. He had some kind of psychology degree or something, and that he was at one point a chaplain, and then I don't know, something else. So he had that whole counseling background kind of thing, and I think he said he had a couple degrees. And at first I thought he was fairly nice, but then he very quickly, I found out that he was not so damn nice. But he was absolutely convinced. And see, I'm the type of person, with regard to herpes, I tell anyone and everyone up front. Now, do I tell them immediately when we start talking? Typically not, but somewhere in there, and certainly before we ever would come to any intimacy situation, I would just never conceal that. I just never would. I would never want somebody to do that to me. But at any rate, so this guy, he was convinced that he knew that the reason that my ex didn't want to be intimate with me was because he didn't want to get herpes. Well, here's what I have to say about that. Maybe, perhaps at some point, he decided that. If he did, at no point in the 15 and a half year period of time that we were together, at no point did he ever indicate that to me. And at no point did he ever indicate that condoms, that he wanted condom usage. Never. He never, ever did. And I was always hyper vigilant anytime that I would have an outbreak, or anytime that I thought that I might be having an outbreak, I would always, always let him know that, we can't, right? Um, so I have a difficult time believing that that's why my ex didn't want intimacy with me. Plus, two, when we first got together, we went to the free clinic or whatever, and we got tested for HIV, and to make sure that everybody had a clean bill of health. And I told him that I had the herpes, and he divulged to me that he had at one point he had contracted anal warts. And he told me, that experience. I think he said they had to burn them off and all of that. Uh, I didn't know at the time, and I mean, I guess he knew. I don't know, but I didn't know at the time that anal warts are uh, another form of HPV. He never mentioned HPV to me. I found this out more recently, like within the past, I don't know, 6 months of this year. And so, I don't know if him having that posed any risk to me. Fortunately, I found out recently that that I had the HPV vaccine back in 2004, which was 4 years prior to ever being with my ex. But at any rate, so he knows what it's like to have a venereal disease, and that even though there's a stigma attached to all of that, um, I guess, I guess he just, because of his experience on his own, I guess, the herpes was really not um, something that was all that big of a concern to him. And certainly nothing that can kill you. Not what you want to get. But anyway, so I've rattled on enough for tonight. Um, if you look, as a guy, erectile dysfunction is something that I hope that I never ever get. If you are with somebody who has that problem, you should absolutely be supportive of them. I'm not suggesting in any way that you be anything other than that. But if you're with them, they need to consider your feelings too. They do. They need to consider that. And if they can't, well, then, unless you plan on living the life of a celibate monk or a convent nun, well, then, you're going to have to make some decisions. And I don't know. I would absolutely, in retrospect, I would never go through that again, ever. I would never go through it. The other half, you're going to have to put out or get out. Right? And I hate to say it like that, because I I was very vested in my relationship. I loved being married. I loved my ex. I did. Um, and it's sad, but he obviously did not love me. In fact, the things that I the things that I uncovered, woo, I don't even think he liked me, but that's okay. Hopefully someday someone will. Um, but anyway, let me shut up. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Jeff. I didn't tell you that in the beginning, but yeah, and I hope that something that I have said to you helps you, gives you some inspiration, maybe helps you get through something, I don't know, to move forward. Um, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional on any level. I can't give you medical advice. I can tell you what I went through and what I wouldn't go through again. And I would never go through the erectile dysfunction thing again, not without somebody being proactive and doing what they need to do. But anyway, that wasn't the main topic of this video. It was the timeline of the things that went down that ultimately led to the breakup. So I hope that I have covered that sufficiently, and there will be another video, because after looking at my notes, there's more that I need to add to that. But there we go. So anyway, have a wonderful night, wonderful day. What time is it? It is 5:22 in the morning, and I've enjoyed our little chat. So I wish you all the best. I hope that you get through anything that you're going through with regard to infidelity and breakups and all that. I know it's difficult. God knows I know it's difficult, especially the older you get, because you look in the mirror and it's like, who's going to want me now, right? And I mean, we're all going to get there. If we live long enough, we'll all get there. But anyway, have a good day. Take care of yourself. And whatever you do, don't do anything foolish. And when I say that, I mean, don't resort to violence. Don't resort to suicide. None of that. Because the person who has done all of these things to you is absolutely not worth it. If they're cheating on you, right, check the box piece of shit. That's who they are. So anyway, have a good day.